Good morning everyone, it's Carol at MegJournals. Big warm welcome as always, and we're on to day 6 of Junk Journal January, and the prompt for today, as you saw there, is memory. So I'm just showing here that I'm going to be working on this page which I previously prepared, and it's actually a pocket, but I'm going to work on the top of it. So my memory is of a day or time in my childhood. So this is a photograph that I've printed out onto matte photocopy paper, or matte photo paper rather, and here you can see I'm just going in with my blending tool and trying to add a little bit of vintage photo distress oxide ink to the photograph, just to tone the white down. I don't want to remove too much of it, but I just want to soften down the white edges. It doesn't work particularly well on the matte photo paper, so I'm struggling with it a little bit, but I get enough colour so that I'm happy. Just trimming down the edge of, or each of the edges of my photo with my decal edge trimmer. And a little more distress ink, vintage photo on the cut edges. Just testing out my piece on the page to see if it looks okay. Here I've just got a lovely piece of vintage paper that I thought would blend well with the background and also with the photograph and act as a nice transition between the two. So I'm just using my tearing ruler to give me a lovely torn edge on that paper, and it was an absolute delight to tear, it really was. So I've done 3 sides, and before I go in with the 4th side, I'm just checking my sizes here and ripping that 4th edge. I do go in and trim it down a little bit more in due course. And now I'm ripping right across my photo, or it's a print actually of the original. So you can see here I'm just tearing diagonally across it. This is an idea that I saw on Pinterest ages ago and decided I'd like to have a go at. So today was the day. Here I'm just arranging my pieces on my background paper. And in retrospect, I would have liked to have made that background paper slightly bigger so that I could have written more text between the torn edges of the photograph, but I didn't, so I'll remember that for another day. It's a lesson learnt. Because that paper is very flimsy, I've just got a piece of scrap card that I'm putting behind as backing to support the paper as I'm inking the edges, again with Ranger Distress Ink Vintage Photo. It's my favourite go-to, really. If it's not the Distress ink, then it's the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink that I use. So just going all the way round, just getting a hint of colour and just deciding which piece goes where. And I decide I'm going to ink up the torn edges as well, so this is what I'm doing. And yes, you've guessed it, Vintage Photo Distress Ink. So this is a photo of when I was a child. We were out in Singapore and it was just a happy day in the garden. I had an old-fashioned swing there made with slats of wood painted white. I've got my favourite doll by the side of me, and she looks a bit gruesome actually. And I'm just laughing at something. I have no idea what I was laughing at. And I'm not even sure, if I'm honest, whether this was a memory or whether or not I am familiar with it because it's a well-known picture and has always been in our photo albums. But as I say, this is not the original, it's just a print. So I went in initially with a dab of Pritt stick, glue on a stick or glue in a stick, just to secure my pieces down in the middle to make sure they were positioned right, and then when I was happy with that I went in with art glitter glue, and here I'm just trimming down the background paper so that it looks a little bit more even, and then of course I have to go back in and re-ink those edges. So a very simple one for this prompt. I have a piece of or a roll of washi tape here, and it has definitions of various words, and one of them is memory. So I decided to use the heading because when I actually read the what was written for the definition, it wasn't correct. There was a spelling error on it. This is a roll I got from AliExpress, so just be careful when you buy some of the bits and bobs from there. And the backing wouldn't come off, so what I've done there is I've just glued it with my Pritt stick. And here I'm writing 1 or 2 words about that day in my childhood. And this is where I wish I had left more space between my torn image pieces, because I was struggling to get the writing in. Perhaps not a bad thing, because my writing's not the best. And here I'm just gluing it onto my background, and I do go in at a later stage, and you'll probably pick it up when you see other pages and the final flip through. I do go in and alter this page slightly by adding some torn digital paper, looking at the word happy off that roll and deciding whether to put it up there so that it says happy memory, but then I decide not to. So this is my finished piece. There's my little gruesome doll there, and yeah, I really was that cute back in the day, but I'm certainly not that now. But happy memory. And there's my old Clark shoes. They were red, and as you saw there in the writing, very scuffed, because I always scuffed all my shoes. So there we go, everybody. That's my finished piece for this prompt, and I hope you join me for the next video and day 7. Until then, bye bye now.